Well, we are continuing with the sevenfold abundance of Abraham. And so we're looking at all the promises that God made to Abraham in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3. And today we're on the fifth. Yes, we're on the fifth dimension of this sevenfold abundance that God promised Abraham. He says, I will make you a great nation. I will bless you. I will make your name great. I will make you a blessing. And today we're looking at, I will bless those who bless you. And our subject today is fertile ground. Come on, affirm with me, I am fertile ground. Come on, say it again. I am fertile ground. Yes, I am fertile ground, which means that you have everything that it takes in you to be able to reproduce, to manifest increase, abundance, overflow, and more than enough. You are fertile ground. Come on, affirm with me. I am fertile ground. I am fertile ground. I'm not just talking about natural fertility with having natural children. I'm not talking about your sperm count. I'm not talking about your estrogen level. I'm not talking about your testosterone levels, but I'm talking about fertile in consciousness. I'm talking about you being fertile ground. Come on, affirm me. I am fertile ground. I am fertile ground. Fertile ground is ground that has been through a process. You just don't get fertile ground. It has to be, you have to break up the fallow ground. Because I've had my fallow ground, that hardness of my heart, I've had that broken up. Any sickness, any mental, emotional stuff that has hardened my heart, I've healed it. Anybody healed your heart today? That you let go of envy, jealousy, strife, bitterness, unforgiveness, all that stuff that would make it hollow ground, that would make it fallow ground, all that stuff that would make you hard and bitter, that you have worked through those issues so that you can be fertile ground. Fertile ground is ground that has been turned over. Anybody been through some turnovers in your life, that you've been through tests, you've been through trials, tribulations, heartaches, and pain. You have dealt with your issues, with your stuff, with your past, that I have become fertile ground because I've allowed God to work on me. I have allowed God to work through me. I have looked at the issues, and as they come up and out, I know that they come up and out to be healed. So I am fertile ground, which means that I have been turned over. This ground has been turned over a couple of times. How many have recreated yourself a couple of times? That the person you are, right now, that you've been different versions of yourself. And that each time you upgrade and you become a better version of yourself than you were before. I'm talking about the ground becoming fertile. I'm talking about how God, waters and how God adds fertilizer, that you've had enough dung in your life. And I'm going to call it dung because we're on a daily download. And that's what I'm going to call it. I'm call it dung. That you have had enough dung in your life, enough stuff in your life to make you fertile ground. It is the dung, it is the fertilizer, that God does not waste anything. Any experience that you have was only fertilizer to make you fertile ground. I said it, that's right, I said it. Any experience that you've had, any relationship that you had, it was only there to make you fertile ground. That I pull the dung from each experience to allow it to fertilize my ground, to make me a better version of myself, so that I can be my best self and live my best life. I desire to know, are you fertile ground? Give me a thumbs up, give me a high five, give me a heart if you've got plenty of dung that has been applied to your life. I'm talking about stuff from your childhood. I'm talking about stuff from your adolescence. I'm talking about stuff from your adulthood, that you've had plenty of dung that has happened in your life to make you fertile ground. Stuff that people thought you would never get over, never get through, never come through, never overcome. But God used all of that to be fertilizer to make you fertile ground. Come on up front with me. I am fertile ground. Yes, I am. Through a process, I have become fertile ground. All right? And so once the ground is fertile, then it's ready for the seed. So I'm talking about the process today. I'm talking about fertile ground. Pulley point number one. In order, he says, I will bless them that bless you. How is it that the people who bless you are blessed as a result of blessing you? He said, I will bless them. One of the sevenfold aspects of abundance, the fifth dimension of the sevenfold abundance in Genesis chapter 12, verses 1 through 3, is he said, I will bless them who bless you. Which means that your ground is so fertile that if somebody blesses you, they reap a harvest. So pulley point number one is good ground, which means that I am worth the investment. We talked yesterday about that every relationship requires time, individuality, money, and energy, which means that I am fertile ground, which means that I am good ground, that I'm a good place to invest in. That, that my bag doesn't have holes in it. That if people invest in you, they will see the benefit of their investment coming back to them as a result of investing in you, because you are fertile ground. Come on in front of me. I am fertile ground. You can plant a seed in me and reap a harvest because I am fertile ground. You can invest your time, your individuality, your money, your energy, and it's going to yield you a return. That we don't deal in this idea of, and I'm going to get to deal with this tomorrow, but we deal with the idea of sowing and reaping. The Bible says, be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a person sows, that shall they also reap. If we sow to the flesh, we will of the flesh reap corruption. If we sow to the Spirit, we will of the Spirit reap everlasting life. So it's about sowing and reaping. It's about being good ground. Y'all remember those soils that Jesus talked about? Where he said you plant the seed and some of it fell on stony ground. How many remember those soils? Give me a thumbs up, give me a high five, give me a heart. He said some of it, that what happened is it was received with joy and it didn't take root. That some of the ground is that because of the cares of this life, and I didn't review this morning, but because of the cares of this life, the seed was choked out. He said, and then there was good ground. I am good ground, which means that when I have an experience, excuse me, that's never happened before, bless me. When I have an experience, good ground means that when I have an experience, that I pull the lesson and the blessing from the experience to make me better. Not make me bitter, but make me better. That's what makes me good ground. That I see everything as God. I see everything as good. And so therefore I am good ground. That no matter what happens in my life, I'm going to allow it to bless me, to advance me, to prosper me. That's what makes it good ground. That the word, my heart and mind, that I am open and receptive to divine unlimited ideas. That's what makes me good ground. Are you open or are you closed? Are you resistant to the truth that people tell you about yourself? When people tell you about your issues and your needs and your flaws, do you resist it or are you good ground and say, I'm open? I'm open to constructive criticism. I'm open to feedback. Let me tell you, it could be destructive criticism. It doesn't matter. I'm fertile ground. I'll take what somebody meant to be destructive and I'll turn it around and make it constructive because I am fertile ground. I am fertile ground. All right. So pulley point number one, I'm giving you an equation this morning. So if you got good ground or fertile ground, pulley point number one, good ground or fertile ground. Pulley point number two, if you have a good seed, and we talked about our seeds, our time, our individuality, our money, and our energy. If you sow a good seed into good ground, it's going to reap a great harvest. That's pulley point number three. I'm giving you an equation this morning. Pulley point number one, good seed plus good ground. Nope. Good ground plus good seed equals a great harvest. I'm going to give you that equation again. Put this equation in the comment section. Good ground plus good seed equals a great harvest. I'm going to say it again. Good ground plus good seed equals a great harvest. Which means that because I am good ground, if you sow something positive, something good into a ground that is already good, it has to yield you a great harvest. So when he says, I will bless them that bless you, this is not some hocus pocus. This is an equation. I am good ground. Someone sowed a good seed, and so they are reaping a great harvest. It is impossible to sow a good seed into good ground and it not reap a great harvest. When someone does something positive, when someone does something good for you, it comes back to them. Because I'm good ground. So when somebody speaks something positive over you, something positive words come back to them. When people think positive thoughts about you, positive thoughts come back to them. When people do good for you, good comes back to them because I am good ground. And so if you sow a good seed into good ground, you will reap a great harvest. He said, I will bless them that bless you. Abraham, you are good ground. So if somebody blesses you, if somebody sows a good seed into you, then they will reap a great harvest. There's an equation. Use it. First, you got to be good ground. And if somebody sows a good seed into good ground, they will reap a great harvest. I challenge you to always be good ground, to always be looking for good seed. The negative, let it fall by the wayside. Anything that's not good, anything that's not positive, don't take it in. Allow that which is negative, pull the good out of it, and allow it to fall by the wayside. But everything that is good, every good that you can get out of it, allow it to plant a seed, and that person will be blessed because they bless you. It's not that the person was not already blessed, but they went to another dimension of blessing as a result of blessing someone else. I am blessed, but when I bless other people, it takes the blessing and makes it exponential. It goes from addition to multiplication. Because I am good ground. So therefore, when good seed is sown into good ground, notice I didn't say you receive a good harvest. That's not what the Lord said to me this morning. He said good ground plus good seed equals a great harvest. The harvest is always greater than the seed. Let me say it again. The harvest is always greater than the seed. What you put out is no comparison to what you get back. You can count how many seeds are in an apple, but you cannot count how many apples are in a seed. Let me say that again. I can open up an apple and count the number of seeds that are in that apple, but I do not know how many apples are in that seed because the harvest is always greater than the seed. Once that good seed goes into good ground, it yields a great harvest. And not just a good harvest, but a great harvest. And so I'm saying to you today, find good ground to sow in. Let me say this to you. I've learned not to loan people money. I've learned not to loan people money. I've learned to give, to sow a seed into people's life. Because when I let someone borrow some money, it keeps me in bondage because I'm waiting for them to pay me back. I'm holding them in bondage until they pay me back. So I would rather sow it as a seed. And if I don't feel that the person is good ground, then I'm not going to sow a good seed. I tell people I will invest in a plan. What is your plan? I will not sow into poverty. I will not sow into lack. I will not sow into limitation. I will not sow into scarcity, but I will sow into a plan. I understand this is a situation that you're going through, but what is your plan? What are you going to do differently this time than you did the last time? How are you going to use this seed to ensure that you are never in this place again? I don't mind sowing good seed, but it's got to be in good ground, because that's what's going to yield a great harvest. And we keep giving out our seed, our time, our individuality, our money, our energy, and we're wondering why we're not getting a great harvest. It's because it wasn't that it was something wrong with your seed. It was something wrong with the ground that you sowed in. And so therefore it did not yield a great harvest. The equation is good ground plus good seed equals a great harvest. There is no way that you can sow a good seed into good ground and not reap a great harvest. It's got to be something either wrong with the seed or wrong with the ground, because the principle of sowing and reaping has been put in the earth, and it cannot return void. It has to accomplish that which God sent it out. So was it the seed that was bad? Did you sow with ill motives? Did you sow with ill intentions? Or was it actually a good seed? There is no way that you can sow good seed into good ground and not reap a great harvest, a harvest of abundance, a harvest of increase, abundance, overflow, and more than enough. So if you're not seeing the great harvest in your life, check the ground that you're sowing in. If you're not seeing a great harvest in your life, check the seed that you are sowing. But if you have good ground and a good seed, it must yield you a great harvest. It's just that simple. Good ground plus good seed equals a great harvest. The Bible says, be not weary in well-doing, for in due season you will reap if you faint not. You will reap if you faint not. I'm not giving up on doing good, because I will reap a great harvest, because I know that I got a good ground and I know that it is a good seed. So therefore it will yield a great harvest. If you look at Abraham, all the people that blessed Abraham, all the nations that blessed him, all the people that blessed them when they were sojourners, all the people that did well for them, those people prospered because they sowed good seed into good ground. You have to reap a great harvest. Come on, just prophesy to yourself, a great harvest. Come on, say it again, a great harvest. I'm not just looking for a good harvest. I'm looking for a great harvest, because I've sown a good seed into good ground, and therefore I'm reaping a great harvest. I am good ground. Anyone who invests a good seed into good ground, they will reap a great harvest. Give me a thumbs up, give me a high five, give me a heart if you got it. That's what it means by I will bless them that bless you. You are good ground. So if they bless you by sowing a good seed, they will reap a great harvest. Give me a thumbs up, give me a high five, give me a heart if you got it. If you got this equation, look back in your life. Check the seed that you're sowing, check the ground that you're sowing it into, and you will reap a great harvest.